Today is one of the most controversial topics I'm going to be talking on my conversations with Nando. When I started this series, one of the first things I thought is, AI looks like a great opportunity, very interesting. It's going to change the way that we work, the way we do many things in our lives. I don't want somebody to tell me how my job is going to change with AI. I want to be able to have my own view and see how AI can actually help me do my job. And when I say my job, I mean my team job and myself, right? And to talk about that, I have somebody from my team here today, which is Lynda. Lynda, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. So hi, I'm Lynda, and I'm in Nando's team. I look after the strategy and planning operations and as well as analytics. So we've had automation in the sales tools for years. What do you think makes AI and the agents in particular fundamentally different this time, Nando?
That's a good question, right? As you know, we started on this automation process, 6, 7 years ago. And at the time, what we could do with the technology available was fairly limited. What I see today completely different with AI is the capability of inferring, is the capability of parallel thinking or solving versus sequential, is the capability of a constant on versus batch process that we had in the past. So the speed and the breadth of things that we can do changes completely. And when I look at AI, how it's gonna impact our team, the easiest way is to think that you're gonna have these multiple agents or multiple team members that happen to be AI agents, right? And that's what really excites me, because it's not really about replacing so much what we do, but now we have all these other people helping us who happens to be AI agents, right?
So where do you think we should be thinking about when it comes to agents?
Well, there's one thing that we do in our team fairly well is the 5 whys methodology, or the issues analysis. So whenever there's an issue, for example, we look at performance or we look for opportunities for growth, we ask the 5 whys, right? So the whole point is to get to really understanding what is driving either performance or opportunity. AI can automate all of that. That's an area that I'm particularly enthusiastic, because it will help me on my creative process, right? To look for and accelerate how we grow the business.
So that sounds quite futuristic. What parts of the job do you think are most ready?
When we look at the mission or the charter of our team, there's 2 things we do, right? One is to find new growth, and we're trying to do that. We figure out which markets are more attractive, or we look for opportunities on things that are not performing properly, how they can perform better, right? And the other thing we do is efficiency, right? So we try to figure out how to run the business faster, better, for the sellers to get quicker, right, to results. So when you look at those 2 things, the reality is that the most creative part of it is gonna take a bit longer for AI to really have an impact, whereas the efficiency part is something, like predictability, forecasting, pipeline health, creating reports for the quarterly business reviews, all these things, they are very relatively easier to do with AI, and that's where we're focusing on. But enough of me talking. You are actually doing these things already today. So tell me some of the things that you're working on AI that are already available for our teams today.
So, over the years, we have built a lot of dashboards, and that provides a lot of really amazing insights. But it still requires a leader and the sales teams to actually go into the tool and study the data and understand how to take the actionable insights from there. What we have now done is actually build a bot, and that actually sends out the insights to them in natural language. It gives them what you expect from the quarter exit prediction. It tells them what their funnel metrics are like. It also tells them what to look out for, where the risks are. So now, in the past, we used to have everyone having to go into the same views and actually have to study it. Now, we can send this out immediately in one go to sellers at all levels. We don't actually need a person to actually be sending out these insights individually to every leader.
We are already doing this, right?
That's right.
How much time you reckon we're saving because of this?
It's going to be at least like 5 man-hours across the organization, because it means we're saving time across the board for every operations person that's supporting a sales leader.
Every week?
Every week. So yeah, the second one is the whenever we spot any large deals in the funnel, we actually want to alert the sellers to check, because it means that it could potentially be a false funnel, and that will inflate the funnel, it will inflate our exit prediction. So we actually now have this to validate and actually ping the seller as well as the operations to help them check, validate before we actually run the metrics around the funnel.
So instead of our teams having to scramble, the system automatically pulls those ones and brings those to the attention. So by the time we do the forecast call, we already know where there's an outlier or not and how to deal with it, right?
That's right. That's right.
One more.
Okay, so the other one is we always expect sellers to be like robots, right? Always going in there, making things updated in the CRM. But the reality is salespeople are always in the field, they're busy. But at the same time, we want them to update SFDC, make sure that everything is always updated. And so what we want to do is send a bot to the sellers and tell them and nudge them to get them updated, get them closed. At the same time, we'll also send a weekly summary to the ops teams. Now, this has always been done manually in the past with ops people chasing sellers. Now we've got happier sellers, happier ops leaders, and we don't fully rely on a human to go in.
One of the things that I'm particularly worry about is how we use AI in a responsible manner. And our company has very early on published some of the guidelines on how we do AI in a responsible way. Can you give me an example or two on how that applies for our own team and in sales?
So when it comes to ethics and as well as data governance, while we want to have data democratization, we also need to have certain checks and balance on who is able to see what. While, for example, when it comes to bookings data, for example, it's okay for the leaders and the sales ops, finance people to be seeing things like sales level. But when it comes to seller attainment, that becomes a bit more sensitive. So that would then be restricted based on the reporting line in most cases. So in any case, there always needs to be a guardrail as well as an owner to these views which are being made available. And should there be any exception, that has to be by the human.
What's the big change you think we're going to see here?
Well, the big shift is that these checks are now run every day in the background rather than once a week manually by the operations team. And now they can shift their time to other more valuable work.
So in the end, makes our people happier, I guess, because they can focus on more value-added stuff versus repetitive tasks, right? But also, I assume the business leaders and sellers that we serve, they also feel that they get a better, more impactful information.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.